Well, good evening, and or as we say in Ukrainian, dobry вечер. Welcome to tonight's Commonwealth Club World Affairs program. My name is Stephen Saum. I'm Executive Director of Strategic Communications and Content at St. Mary's College of California. More important, tonight I'll be moderating the Q&A after the screening of the film. I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, in person and online, for this special screening of Porcelain War. One of the most celebrated documentaries of the year, Porcelain War tells the story of three Ukrainian artists defiantly finding inspiration and beauty as they defend their culture and their country amidst the chaos and destruction of the brutal Russian invasion. Co-directed by Slava Leontiev and Brendan Belomo, with extraordinary footage from first-time cinematographer Andrei Stefanov, Porcelain War won the 2024 Sundance Grand Jury Prize for documentary and is nominated for Best Documentary Feature Film at this year's Academy Awards. Yeah. Now, as this brutal war grinds toward its fourth year, this film is a testament to the tragedy of the war, the resilience of ordinary people, and how art can remind us of the past, endure an uncertain present, and carry hope for the future. We're delighted to host a Q&A after the screening with filmmakers Slava Leontiev, Ukrainian artist, former Special Forces soldier, and co-director of this brilliant film, and Paula Dupré-Pesman, an Emmy Award-winning and Grammy Award-winning producer. All right, so let's dim the lights. We're privileged to present to you Porcelain War.
Вот сколько я себя помню, я всегда рисовала.
Наша робота у співавторстві, вона була, власне кажучи, питанням часу.
Ми звичайні люди у надзвичайній ситуації. В Україні це війна професійних нападників проти захисників-аматорів.
Прилетіли. От і ще летять.
Серед іншого письменників, музикантів, вчителів, художників. Вони мають бути навчені настільки добре, настільки це можливо у цих умовах.
По ній коротку очередь. Туду! Туду!
Коли вони стирають цих людей, вони стирають Україну. Спротив злу має бути безкомпромісним.
Тримайся, друже, заберемо тебе зараз. Держись, котик. Все будет хорошо, мы тебя вывезем.
Історії, що ми їх розповідаємо через мистецтво, це теж наш спротив.
Самые отвратительные моменты войны будет не лишним просто улыбнуться.
Людей не так, щоб складно налякати, але важко заборонити їм життя. Україна як порцеляна, яку легко розбити та неможливо знищити.
So just as a reminder who our special guests are here this evening, Slava Leontiev is a first-time Ukrainian director born into a family of biologists in Ukraine. He spent his life studying painting, photography, graphic design, and art theory. Alongside his wife and longtime collaborator Anya Stasenko, Leontiev now creates the porcelain sculptures in Porcelain War. He's also a former soldier of the Ukrainian Special Forces and a highly regarded weapons instructor for civilians who are currently defending their country against Russian aggression. Paula Dupré-Pesman is an Emmy Award and Grammy Award winning producer who produced the Oscar-winning feature documentary The Cove. Over her career, she's been named Producer of the Year by the Producers Guild of America and worked on the producing teams of narrative features, including 3 of the Harry Potter blockbusters, Mrs. Doubtfire and Home Alone 2, and produced the renowned documentary feature Chasing Ice. And Frodo you met in the film, right? So, yes. Dobry wieczór, Frodo. Okay. So, Slava Paula, my wam dziękujemy. Thank you so much for being here this evening and for bringing your film, bringing this story to the screen at this important time. I want to ask a question which you talk about some in the film, but to get us, our conversation going, why make a film about art and beauty at this time?
Thank you so much for this question. We really understood from the very beginning, all war looks same, all destruction looks same, and it's really senseless to film something like news footage because news gets old quickly, and this stuff will be interested for nobody pretty soon. We will live in the middle of this, and nobody knows who will survive so far and what we can have in result. Just old news, but much more important, to show what may be destroyed. What may be destroyed because this war. The goal of aggressor is to erase our culture, is to take away our identity. Because this, since the start of big war, our museums were destroyed, our universities were damaged, and so many our artists and actors and writers and just teacher of Ukrainian language, any people who contribute culture were killed on front line because they came to army, on their own kitchen or bedroom because Russia shelling districts of apartment house, and on occupied territories because Russians especially killing people who contribute culture. And it's our responsibility, it's our duty now to work instead of all these people, because nobody can fix it, nobody can bring these people back to life. That is why we were so focused on beauty, so focused on beauty of our wounded nature. We lose so many forests, national forest and national park burned because of shelling. And our territory now, Ukraine, is most mined by landmine territory in whole world. And we never will fix this. And especially we're focused on beauty of all these amazing people who defend their, not only their homes and families, who defend democracy, who keep humanity even in this really dark time. We were focused on beauty, and because we felt behind us amazing creativity and skills of our amazing American team, we felt we are people on the ground, we are eyes of our project, and it's our responsibility to work, to look around really attentively, and it's easy for us. It's our normal behavior as visual artists to find something beautiful and to find something interesting around us. But also we were really motivated because all is so fragile in time of war, and we filmed every piece of nature or every person or every flower like if it was last day of their existence. Or we filmed like in last day of our life, because nobody know in time of war who will awake next day.
So one of the, yes, I think, thank you very much.
Frodo, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
One of the phrases that shows up a few times in the film, Chas chuya nas, time hears us. Talk about that.
Well, it's work of our amazing street artist in Kharkiv. We have in Kharkiv many amazing street art from these artists. Sometimes just text, and he really feeling how it is. And now so many these ruins and damaged houses have this sign, have this text from this artist named Hamlet. It's really important in our space of our city, of our damaged city under shelling, but still our city is still alive. People working, restaurants are open, city living, but living in this surrealistic time under shelling, and something really important we can find on our walls because this artist.
So in order to make this film, I mean, the logistics were something to reckon with. I'm wondering, Paula, if you can talk some about that. How did this come to be? You had filmmakers who were first-time filmmakers who didn't have gear.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. The project, originally, Slava and Anya were doing an art project with the other co-director, Brendan, and his wife, Aniela, the other producer. And then the war broke out. So when he checked on them to see how they were doing, found out that Slava was in the Special Forces now, and that they were creating art at night. He ended up sending a camera. We found a volunteer named Victoria who lives in New Jersey. She's a makeup artist, and she collects humanitarian aid, and she takes 50, 60 bags at a time through Poland into Ukraine. And so she helped us smuggle the first camera into Ukraine, and then had to start teaching them over Zoom how to use the equipment. Brendan asked them if there was somebody who could film them, and they shared some of, Slava shared some of Andrei's paintings, some photos of them, and as soon as Brendan saw them, he knew that Andrei was a cinematographer. He just didn't know how to use a camera yet. So the first lesson was how to turn it on, and literally. And so they had these makeshift film classes over, each week, several times a week. And this just grew and grew with more equipment, learning how to use the body cams and the drone cameras and all the different equipment that was sent. And also they hadn't made a documentary before either. So I was introduced to them as somebody that maybe could give some advice. And you get asked to do these kind of conversations with people a lot. Will you do me a quick favor? Can you have a coffee with somebody? Can you talk to this person? And I was just thinking it was going to be a conversation of how to help. And as soon as I met Brendan and Aniela on Zoom, I was just like, this is amazing, and I want to help. And so it's been a 2.5-year journey for all of us together, and we spent a lot of time on Zoom with them setting up the cameras there, and we had a translator on. Slava speaks really good English now, but he and Anya didn't speak any English throughout the making of the film. And they didn't speak any English when we met them for the first time in Sundance. And in April, while we were here traveling with the film, started learning English. And it started with just that we can't also bring a translator, another hotel room, another airfare. So I was like, Slava, you're going to have to learn English. We have to. and it was literally that. And also, I felt like people wanted to hear from them. and they had something really important to say, and waiting through a translator, you lose some of that. And I think they're doing a great job.
So actually, talking about language, I mean, one of the things that, one of the claims that Putin made with the full-scale invasion was protecting Russian speakers. This is a film that has Ukrainian, it has Russian. You had lived in Crimea before he seized Crimea more than a decade ago. Can you talk about language and?
It's not clear for its audience, but it's something unusual and important for Ukrainian audience in our movie, because any Putin's words are senseless, because lie is senseless, but we are from eastern part of Ukraine, from Kharkiv. All actions of our movie is in Kharkiv, except Battle of Bakhmut. Ukrainian population around Kharkiv was killed by genocide. During 1933, Holodomor, genocide in Ukraine, killed millions of people in our part of Ukraine. And the rest of Ukrainian population was completely Russified, and and population was changed. Russian people came to eastern Ukraine, and now these Russian people trying to rebuild Ukrainian culture and have Ukrainian identity, because to be Ukrainian now, it's not about our ethnic origin or native language of our parents. It's a free choice between democracy and totalitarian lifestyle. And now all these people, different ethnic origins, Russians and Ukrainians and Jewish people and other, Ukraine is a multinational country, and other people in eastern Ukraine trying to defend Ukrainian identity and independent Ukraine. All people in our movie are native Russian speakers. And now these people are trying to ban Russian language in public conversation because Russian is too easy for our children. And if our children will hear Russian language, they never will study English, and they will be never connected to world culture directly. They will be connected through the censored and totalitarian Russian culture.
So Paula, one of the things that people here in the audience have asked about, when we talk about bringing this story to life, there's the animation that is part of bringing Anya's paintings into motion. Can you talk about how that was created? Yeah,
since the project was originally going to be an animated project, it made sense to try to use some animation with the figurines. That was that early concept. But one thing that was important is we didn't want to cut away to animation to where you felt like, okay, now we go over to this part of the story. We wanted to make sure that you never left Ukraine and you never left the world of these figurines and of Slava and Anya and Andrei. So Brendan was able to, he has a visual effects supervising background, so he was able to figure out how to do that. And then he not only taught them how to use cameras, he also taught them how to shoot visual effects plates, which you need to do these things. So it was just this incredible technical collaboration as well, and they knew just the three figurines, they knew what they wanted to create. And Anya and Slava decided that, they're very metaphoric in their art. And so they had a reason. They knew right away that the snail that carries their home on their back was their past, in Crimea. And then the owl, which lives in darkness as well, is when the invasion. And then the Pegasus for their hope for the future. So Andre was filming them as they were creating these figures. And so we were watching the footage as it was coming in. And we had these sessions, usually a couple of times a week, where they would get the camera on. They would set the camera up somewhere, and I would be in Colorado on Zoom, and Yella and Brendan in Los Angeles, and we would just have these conversations and record to learn more about their lives and what was happening. Besides what we were seeing, we needed more knowledge about what they were thinking, what they were feeling, and at that point, they recorded the 3 different stories of their past, the present, and the future, their hope for the future. Those recordings were sent to an animation studio in Poland called Blue Blue Studios. They had also taken in a lot of refugees and so from Ukraine, and this was a very personal story for them. And then we sent them 20 years of photos of Anya's work, and they studied that work and created 7,000 hand-drawn frames of art that were used to create these 3 animated pieces.
So, of course, one of the other figurines that's featured in the film is the Drakonchik, right? The little, the little dragon. I'm wondering, Slava, because nature is featured so wonderfully in the film, and then there's the myth also with the Pegasus and the dragon. For you, expressing Ukrainian identity, is it about the nature? Is it about myth? Is it about both?
I think now Ukrainian identity is especially about what we try to defend, and what is under pressure, what is under fire, what can be destroyed on this aggression, and what we must preserve. It's impossible, really, this metaphor, Ukraine as porcelain, it's completely clear. This war is senseless because it's impossible to erase our identity, to erase identity of people who already decide to live free. And, okay, totalitarian government trying to take away our free choice, how to think and how to create. But we not agree with this. And this is in the middle of our identity. And okay, around us is, now we live in this surrealistic situation, and it's really weird to have the war right outside your door. And we can find in our forest mushrooms or landmines or little dragon finally. Let's make more dragon and less landmines.
So one of the members of the audience has a very interesting question, and Frodo, you can answer as well. So wondering how the warrior in you affected your art and how your art has affected or shaped who you are as a warrior.
Anya decided she will keep her border of her world, what she built in her painting. Because she told me, your unit now defend our physical border, and because this Russian aggressor never came inside my work. I will never paint something about this, and because Anya's language is so metaphoric, we were really lucky to have this amazing Blue Blue studio who used Anya's language to illustrate stories, to draw something what Anya never drew.
So one of the audience members asked this question. They ask about the process for scoring the film. And of course, it's very striking that it's the music of Dacha Bracha all throughout, and folks who are plugged into the Bay Area music scene would maybe have seen them a few times over the years here. But talk about the process for scoring the film and that selection.
So Brendan had asked Slava, what kind of music do you listen to? And he said that Andre actually paints to a band called Dacha Bracha. So Brendan got the music, and the first song in the film is Vesna, and he started editing to it, and Daniela and I saw it, and we were just amazed. It just fits so perfectly with the film, and then the animal sounds and the nature. And then when Brendan cut the second scene to it, we were like, we're kind of in trouble. We got to find this band because there's nothing like them in the world. There was no way you could replace this music. And so we got to their website. They traveled to a different city nearly every day around the world. They're constantly moving and traveling to talk about Ukraine. And we were messaging them and DMing them and emailing them, and nothing. We were not hearing back. And then we get another scene, and we're like, we are so in trouble. We have got to find this band. So we found they were coming to Los Angeles, and we got tickets to the show, and we were actually like joking, but we weren't. We were going to hold up a sign, like, please call us. We need to talk to you. And luckily, we heard back from the manager. She said, let's have a Zoom meeting. So we hopped on the next morning at 6 a.m, and as soon as Daniela and I were on there, she was crying a lot, and had shelling all night around her building in Kyiv, and she was pretty shook up. And we talked to her, of course, trying to, comfort and talk with her about what she was experiencing, and then explained what we were doing, and that this is about artists and their artists. And we just felt that they were really a character in the film, in the story. And she said, I'm giving you all of the music. You can have the unrecorded, unreleased, the released, all the stems. We'll send you everything you need. And, I said, well, we will pay for this music. We have some funds that we have raised for the music. And she said, whatever you send, I'm going to donate. The band is going to donate to an organization that helps musicians who are fighting and their families. So that was really special that the money was able to go back and actually help musicians. And since then, we did meet them. And then recently, Anya and Slava also got to meet them, which was really, really special.
So a number of folks in the audience, Slava, they want to know about your friends in Unit Saigon.
Thank you so much for this question, most important question for me. We are unbelievably lucky. Everyone in Saigon unit survived so far. It's miracle, because after Battle of Bakhmut, they had even more horrible battle in Avdiivka, and Katya and Johnny was almost surrounded of Russian troops, and chief and commander of our special force, he wants to rescue Katya from this situation personally, but our guys was great and rescue themselves. And right now they are in battle around Kharkiv. They are defending our native city. And they follow us. I report them, I text them every night, and thank you for being here. I will speak to them. I will speak to Katya tomorrow morning about this screening. Thank you so much from all of us, because behind our movie is bravery of every Ukrainian soldiers and resilience of every Ukrainian civilian. When I was able to film Porcelain War, I was serving in Ukrainian army at that time, and I was able to film something because when I picked up my camera, someone picked up a rifle in my place. They trusted us. And Katya told me, now you have much more impactful weapon. Your camera is more powerful than your rifle.
So this perhaps seems somewhat whimsical, but I'm wondering if you can talk about it, Slava, in all seriousness. So Frodo, right, has a name, gets its name from Tolkien. The invading forces are colloquially referred to as orcs.
It's true, and much more. Near Kharkiv, one of Kharkiv big suburban named Rohan. And you can understand when, okay, I have Frodo nearby, and Frodo have a ring, it's true, little gold ring, Anya's wedding ring on his coat. And orcs are nearby and in use. Now our army defend Rohan. It sound really interesting to live inside this story. And Frodo, of course, Frodo is amazing. He is brave under shelling. He is patient in journey. He trying to chase away any airplane or helicopter because he know helicopters may be and airplanes may bombing, may attack us. And Frodo, what about helicopters? Самолеты, вертолеты, Frodo, вертолеты, вертолеты, вот же, Frodo. He's surprised that he not trusted me today.
Well, we're to the point we have time for just one more question. A number of folks here in the audience are asking this. What do you hope people will understand from watching this film, and what do you hope they will do?
Our responsibility as artists and filmmakers is to bring hope and inspiration. And for me, main message of our movie is resistance is possible. In any situation, resistance is possible for everyday people. Everyday people may be great in their resistance. It's important. It's not about Ukraine and the Ukrainian only. It's about all of us, about everyone who ready to stay for democracy and who are ready to preserve humanity in any dark time. That is why we filmed this movie.
Right. Yes, please join me in thanking Slava Leontiev and Paula Dupre-Pestman. Thank you for sharing your art and your insights with us here this evening. Čas vás čuje.
Thank you so much.
Thanks also to our audience here for joining us tonight and for your thoughtful questions. And lastly, Commonwealth Club World Affairs welcomes you back for future programs, welcome you to become a member and support the mission of nurturing vital civic education, engagement, and dialogue. To find out more, please visit the website at commonwealthclub.org. I'm Stephen Saum. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. And I think I can speak on behalf of our audience here and online. Slava Ukraini. Right.